I couldn't go by myself, but he can. He knows all these guys. And we're never gonna get hundreds of thousands of dollars because Michigan State takes 60% of whatever comes in to begin with, but that's okay. If we got a $100,000 grant and we only get 40,000, praise God, it's more than we ever had before for this. It's not gonna help me or my organization, it is gonna help them and what they're doing, and that's what I want. So, we were going over all of that, and just yesterday they sent me another email saying, we just thought of some more things that we can put in here, let's do this and this and this, can you put them all together? You bet I can put them all together. Then they said, how about the flat or the apartment we're renting now? If we can buy that, then when we leave here in 7 years, according to plan, whoever takes our place will have a place to stay and a headquarters. Sounds good to me. When we were coming down the mountain, they were taking me back to the airport, we got to talking about the tea plantations, many of which are going broke. The owners are just leaving them because they're not profitable anymore. Well, here you have these multi-acre plantations with all this tea on them, and nothing's happening. Besides which, when they close down, the pitiful jobs that were there are gone too. So we start talking, what if we bought one of these tea plantations? And we could build buildings on there and move the program on there. We could clear some of the ground and introduce new crops other than tea, things that will actually benefit the people. We could have educational programs there, we could do this and this and this, and we were having a blast in the Jeep on the way down the mountain. So he is going to be looking into how much it would actually cost to buy a tea plantation. And put that into the project too. I love his vision. Yeah, he's me a number of years ago, even though he was born in India and has much darker skin. I love the young man. So we'll see where we go from that. But while I was there, they introduced me to their local pastor, the younger guy here, and this guy, the district pastor. The district pastor had to go away and do his district pastoring somewhere. Wasn't able to get back the next day because of all the rain. But the younger pastor and I got to talking about the need for theological education among the clergy there. These guys have been doing the work in the church for years and years and years, but they have no formal training, which is not necessarily a negative. If they've been doing it, they know it. But also they have no credentials. And as the educational system around them grows, people get high school diplomas, college diplomas, they go back in the church and say, Pastor, what do you have? Yeah. You say, well, nothing, I've never been to school. What's going to happen? They're going to be looking down on this poor guy instead of giving him the respect he needs. So what can we do? Can we do anything? Well, that's very similar to the situation I found in Ukraine 15 years ago when I helped start the theological education by extension program there, where we had a system where over the course of 2 years, we could give an education that would be equivalent to the first year of seminary. And we would have expat teachers coming over and teaching by extension, or teaching in the classroom by translator, once every couple months. And people from the areas would come in for that 1 week of teaching, and then they'd go back to their own areas. Hey, we could do the same thing there. If I do it through Moody Bible Institute, I could actually do it through their extension program and get these guys a 1-year certificate at the end of the program. Oh, wow. So he's excited about that, and I'm thinking, all right, when I get back, I'm going to look into this, I'll send you all the details, I'll show you what the materials look like. You guys there can talk about it. If you want this, I will give you my total support, and in fact, this will get me back here because I want to teach here. So will you. Just telling you that right now.
That'd be great.
Yes. In fact, we can go together. So they like that idea, we need to work on that, but here again, here's something we can roll into the project. We can probably roll project costs for some of the teachers coming over from the States, and also for some of their own pastors as they get to the point where if they show that they really respond well to the classroom education, let's get them into a formal seminary. Let's pay their expenses to do it. Get them back so that we don't have to go over all the time and teach, and actually so that they can take that program and do it in other parts of India. It's not just us, it's multiplication. All right. And here's a picture of Dean teaching. He took me to one of the places in the community where he actually was doing the education. So I got a chance to see young and old people alike sitting there, hearing what they had to say. He is doing this in conjunction with World Vision. And watch the reactions there. It seemed to be very good to me. The people were happy to hear him, happy to know what he was saying, and also reacted as I would expect them to react, horror at what some of the things he was saying, interest in what they could do to prevent it. It gave me a feel for what they're doing, not just here, but in a lot of places. Then I went over to Seven Sisters. This is what Seven Sisters say on their website: a safe and caring environment for girls in need of care and protection. The girls live together as a family in our large facility. Our 22 staff members attend to their physical, emotional, education, and spiritual needs. These girls attend school, participate in counseling sessions and life skill training, have daily physical activity. They enjoy dancing and singing, arts and crafts and music. We seek to nurture and empower girls so they may become independent women of courage and be able to successfully reintegrate into society. And beyond this, which they have to be careful on their website, they are Christian. They have daily Bible studies and devotions within the school. They don't require the girls to attend them, but half of them do, and the other half will. We just know that, because they're going to see what's happening. And they care. It started by my friends, the Hughes, Don and Janice. They come from Colorado. Don was assistant police chief and then assistant fire chief in his town before he retired. His wife is a retired Air Force colonel, and she looks so nice. But when they retired, they're self-supporting. They decided they would do something by participating with groups like Compassion and World Vision. And they were doing some things like that, but they realized these are all stopgap measures. We need to do something where we can see the results and have a long-term impact. So they founded Seven Sisters. Seven Sisters named after the 7 provinces of that area. Unfortunately, they are Seven Sisters. They are the only American representatives in the entire organization, even though it's founded as a charity within the US. So they have nobody to do the recruiting, they have nobody to do the training, nobody to send people over to them. When they are in India, which is most of the year, they are there. And they're so busy there, they can't do anything else. So when I heard about that, I said, this is what we do. We talked on Skype, we emailed back and forth. When I actually got a chance to sit down with them, and it's fantastic bonding. These are people that are my friends now, and they feel the same way. So we had a good time. We made plans for the next time I'm going to be in their area as well. But the main thing was I got to see some of the girls. You will not see the girls because we're not allowed to post pictures. They could be, if people know they're there, some of them would be killed to take them out of the legal system. Some of them are involved in cases against government officials who raped them. The government officials will do anything to stop that. So if they find out who it is, they might influence the families to get your girls back. They might actually kill or kidnap the girls, or those who had them trafficked might steal them back and re-traffic them. So we cannot show their pictures. We cannot tell where they are. I couldn't even take a picture of the outside of their gate and the humongous lock on it because they have the address on the gate post. So this is the best we can do. And they talk about this is what it was when they started with just 7 girls. And now they have 21, and they've added color to their lives. And here's a picture of the girls they've drawn their own faces there. As I walked around the place, I stayed overnight there. They have 21 girls now. The youngest is 11, the oldest is 17. All of them have been sexually abused. Some of them were used in prostitution, some of them were used in factory work as slaves, but they were still sexually abused during that time. There's an 11-year-old there. If you go up to her and ask how old are you, she will answer automatically 18. She was used for prostitution and was beaten into her. If anybody asks, you say 18. Because an 18-year-old prostitute is legal, an 11-year-old is not. Not that the Indian government would do anything about it, but you know, there's a difference between an 11-year-old and an 18-year-old. You can see that. Yeah. And everything in me either wanted to hit somebody or something, even if it was just a wall, or just run up and grab these girls in my arms and hold them and say, you're safe. Neither one of which is an appropriate activity. Now, if a strange guy comes up and grabs a girl who's gone through that, I don't know what she'd do. Yeah. So all I could do was watch, pray, and vow, I'm going to help these girls. I did interact with one of them. Found that she was a runner. Somebody told me she liked to run, and I'm a runner. So I went up to her, and most of them speak English well enough. I heard you run. Oh, her face just beamed, and all of a sudden she starts talking to me like any teenage girl would. Oh, I was running in this race, and it was 3,000 meters, and I won the race. And I'm just, wow, this girl, I want to hug you now, but I'm not going to touch you. Just, maybe next time I come, maybe we can run together. And then I'm told, no, you can't run with her unless we're all out together running. So maybe we'll go over to the local track and do it when you're here. But then I got this idea, do you think it would be appropriate if I sent her one of my race t-shirts? And Don says, yeah, that might be good. Janice comes up, the practical one says, no, it wouldn't be. Not unless you have 21 of those for all the girls. You got it. Yeah. So I work with an organization here in the States called Girls on the Run, where we sponsor things like this. I'm going to ask our chairman in Ypsilanti, Michigan. I'm sure we have at least 21 shirts from previous races. And I'll be seeing her in 2 weeks for our next race. Say, can you give me at least 21 of these? I'll actually find out the girls' sizes once I get permission. I will take them, I will send them all over. And it could be that Don and Janice would like to start a chapter of Girls in the Run for their girls, and maybe even extend it, because it is an empowering thing. It's not a Christian organization, unfortunately, but it is a good one for girls to realize that they're not second class. They can do things besides impress boys, which is why it was started here in the States. I've been working with them for over 10 years, and I really love it. Well, that's Seven Sisters. Just some brief statistics on human trafficking. As I've gotten more into this, I'm learning more about it and not liking what I'm learning. I knew this would happen. I went to a human trafficking conference just before I left for India. Didn't like what I heard there, but I did make some good contacts for working together. In fact, two women who said they want to come to India and work with me, just hearing what little I knew. But look at this. 27 million people are victims of human trafficking right now. That's at least 3 times the population of my state, Michigan. And some of the sexual abuse, child soldiers, illegal adoptions, and slave workers. Most Americans don't think of trafficking right away. We think of prostitution because that's where our minds go. I think of the child soldiers. I remember the movie Blood Diamond, which was centered around these kids of 10, 11, 12 given automatic rifles and sent out to kill people. I can't imagine having a child's life, not just his life, his childhood taken away with something like that. And I think of Indiana Jones in the Temple of Doom when they rescue all these boys who are enslaved by these evil priests in the mine. And the villagers, when they see the kids coming over the hill, back to the village, they think, whoa, wouldn't that be a rush to be able to do something like that? And then, of course, there's the girls. This happens even here in our country. The majority of these, 28 million, are from India, Nepal, and Pakistan.
Wow.
That means there's the place to really be working. Yes, it's all over the world. In fact, human trafficking right now is the second most profitable illegal enterprise after arms dealing. It's beating out drugs. There are some major drug cartels that are in the process of getting out of drugs and into trafficking because they'll make more money with less risk. 80% of human trafficking victims are women and girls. Up to 50% of trafficked people are minors. So, you're figuring like 13, 14 million of these trafficked people right now are under the age of 18. There are more than 1 million children engaged in forced prostitution. Since I've been away from home, there was a major bust in Michigan, in Detroit area. At least 12 kids were taken back from prostitution by the US government. And evidently it was a sting across the country, and over 100 kids were rescued. So it's happening right here. We can't get away from it, but it's happening all over the world. We can't just fix it in one place without doing something to fix it all over the place. And I can't fix the entire problem, but I can help with part of it. The project I'm trying to put together now, I've put these together today, just some of the things we're thinking of bundling into this program. For Crossroads Project, materials, workers, travel, housing, vocational training, agriculture. For Seven Sister, workers, equipment, facilities, vocational training. For the church, theological education. On my way out of Delhi, my last day there, talking to the chairman of the board of DevPro, he told me about his personal work now that he's retired, doing evangelism and church growth among the slum dwellers of Delhi. And he said, the biggest problem I have, Dave, is these guys aren't trained theologically. They've never been to school. I wonder what I can do. I said, Babu, I have an idea for you. As soon as I get home, I'm going to send you some information. Can you imagine if we can put the theological education from Kalimpong together with Delhi, the slum workers? If one person goes over, spends 2 weeks and teaches the same thing in Delhi at one level and in Kalimpong at another, we're hitting both sides. They couldn't put the groups together, but you can do the same thing. And for an American, it's not going to matter to us that one day we're working with poor people and the next day we're working with village people. Doesn't matter. It's going to be an adventure for us. So, some cool things there. Now, I put some other things in here. Some people have told me that, they wonder how I can do a presentation like this without notes. I tell them, my slides are my notes. And that's why sometimes I'll just put things like this. Laura Moore, up there, is a missionary with Send International, a friend of mine that I helped recruit, who's working in orphanages in Ukraine. When she first started, she told me something like this. She said, I didn't know what we were going to do in the orphanage. But in Ukraine, when you get to 18 years old in an orphanage, you're out. That's the end of it. You're out in the streets, whether you're ready or not. She said, I came into the orphanage and I heard one of the girls I knew on the telephone She knew that she would be out of the orphanage in a few months. She was calling her former pimp because she didn't know what else to do. She had nowhere to go, so she was arranging her next job. And I could just see the pain in Laura's face, and what do we do with these people? And I felt the same way. Well, we have the same thing here. We can rescue these people from trafficking. We can prevent them going in. But what are we doing beyond that? We need to give them something to keep them out of it, to make them productive members of society. Beyond that, we need to give them Jesus, so that they have a spiritual foundation for their new life. And get them into the church, so they have a support group. And get them into Christian marriages, so they have a family that will be with them all the time and protect them, so that they feel safe and they can develop the way God wants them to develop. Having daughters and no sons, I'm there. No, we're not going to see that one. You wonder about this. Okay, my last thing here. A number of years ago in Ukraine, my Ukrainian family you saw up there, they took me on a vacation into the Carpathian Mountains. We had a great time for a week wandering around. They introduced me to their friends. One of their friends, we stayed with him a couple nights, took us to an ostrich farm. And he took us in, he took us right into the paddock, through the gate. We weren't supposed to do that. His wife was with us. His wife is this tiny little thing. If you sneeze, you'd blow her away. Very, very cute until we got there, because we're all standing there and the ostriches are gathering around these people wondering what we're doing. But Larissa is holding a bouquet of flowers in her hand. Ostriches eat flowers. And I'm watching, she's standing there holding those flowers, and the ostriches are looking at her hands and they're getting closer and closer to her. Nobody else is knowing, and she seems petrified, rooted to the spot. Can't do a thing. And before I knew what was happening, I had taken some side steps and I was right in front of her, between her and the birds. And thinking, what have I just done? Why did I do that? Just, okay, this is who I am. This is the way God made me. I'm going to protect the weak women. In India, as we were going to the meeting where you saw Beam talking, we were unloading the car, getting ready to take it down a number of stairways to the town hall. And there was a house right on the edge of the road there with two dogs on the porch who weren't bothering us at all. But as soon as this Indian woman starts walking up the road, the dog started barking as if they were going to attack her, and she just froze in place. And I look at her, and I look at the dogs, and before I knew what was happening, I'm yelling at the dogs in English, and they're obeying me. They're moving off to the side, back to the side, they stop their barking, so I'm getting close to the dogs, standing in front of the dogs, waving at the woman, you come past me. She walks past me, walks up the road, and it's all over. And I'm thinking, oh, that was like with the ostriches. I wonder why. And one of the guys comes up and says, are you a dog whisperer or something? But as I had a chance to think about that, I thought, this was a thing about God reminding me of my purpose there.
Wow.
Not to do the work, but be the protector. Be the person who stands in between so that they can get the job done. As much as, I'd be happy if I could just pick up from here, go over and be at Seven Sisters the rest of my life. To work with Beam and Kylie would be a privilege. To be in Ukraine, I'd be there yesterday if I could. But I can't. God has me here. But Dave, your place is to be between these people and the opposers so that they can get their job done. Okay, if I'm a facilitator, I'm going to be the best darn facilitator we can find. And that's what God has called me to do here. Oh, this is really my last one. This is Vietnam, 2 years ago. These are a group of orphan girls, which we have nothing officially to do with. I fell in love with them 3 years ago when I first saw them, just because, look at them, they're beautiful. And they're all Christian, and they all speak English, because they go to the English school, they're on a scholarship at the English school that we partner with in Vietnam. So the first time I was asked, do you want to go see the orphanage? Well, sure, I'll always go see an orphanage, no matter what they are. It just happened to be an orphanage of girls. I found out it was a grandmother and grandfather, Christian Vietnamese, who decided our kids are gone, we have a house, let's start taking in girls. And they did that. And if not, these girls would be probably on the street themselves. So I got to know them. This particular time was the second time I saw them. They get called in, the American wants to see you. So they file in, they sit on the floor, okay, what do you want to talk about? And I pulled out my tablet and I started showing them the pictures of the year before when I was there. And you know what teenage girls are like? Oh, that's her. Look how she looks like here. Oh, look how young she is 2 years ago. Oh, look, she's over here now. So before I know it, I'm sitting on the floor with them. They're all around me. We're looking at the pictures, having a great time. And my two friends there, Burton and Bob, they're off to the side just watching the whole thing. But then comes time for the obligatory picture with everybody. So Burton and Bob come in, I didn't begrudge them that, although, you know, I would have preferred just to be myself. And the girls all gather around, but this one kneels behind me and puts her hands on my shoulder. That's not done. That is not proper. And my first thought was just that. What's going on here? This is not right. My second thought was, okay, react nicely. I reached up, I patted her hand, and you can see where my hands were after that, just around my legs there. And I'm thinking, what's going on? Why is she doing that? And as I thought about it, I realized she was sending a message to me from all of them. We trust you. You came here, you didn't promise anything that you can't deliver. You didn't come here to demand anything of us. You came here because you like us. You sat on the floor with us and played with us because you really enjoy us. We trust you. We will welcome you anytime you're here. And all of that came without words, which is probably why I have such a big smile on my face in the picture. It's only this year that I realized that's the biggest smile of any picture in the last 10 years. Well, this is what I want to see. I want to see people like this being happy, knowing that their life is before them in a brand new way, knowing Jesus is walking with them, knowing they have friends all over the world who really care about them, who want to walk with them, and they will accept them and we will accept them. The last time I was there, we took them out to Pizza Hut for dinner, had a blast too. So I can't wait till I see them again. But that's what we do. That's particularly what I do. That's what Mandate does. That's what we're going to continue doing through the rest of my time as executive director there and into the future, as long as I have anything to say about who's going to take my place.
Was that other picture of Everest that you flashed past?
That's the movie.
Right there.
This is a movie that was produced to show the people there how human trafficking works. So yes, that is Everest. This is the Himalayas. And the story is about a Nepali man and his daughter who gets enticed to go to the big city by a friend of hers, a teenage friend who is acting as an agent for a brothel.